Hello and welcome back to the next episode of the very useful monster project using the Brickbit board. Last time we explored making a face using the lights of the Brickbit, and we explored how by flipping it around it was helpful to have a worksheet to map out the faces and plan our faces. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to design their own face and explore what they want to do with that. Today we are going to continue exploring the faces, but explore how using functions, which are blocks of code that serve a specific use, can make it easier to use this code in our faces. And especially as we start to use our faces in our programming, creating a function of the face makes it easier to write our code and to be creative in how we use our code so that our very useful monster continues to grow and expand, and our coding, it grows and expands by building our own functions. So if you recall, the code from last time built this smiling face. I'm going to cup it a little here. It has the blue eyes and the smiley face on the Brickbit. It can also stand up and can work like that. And let's take a look at the code we wrote and see how that is written and how we might want to use functions to expand on it and keep making it better. So right now, for example, we have written this entire block of code here to get us to make the eyes light up and have it look forward. So if I want to keep using that face, I can either keep typing this code or I can make a function out of this code and use that instead. Let's make a function out of the code and see how easy it is to then use it whenever we want to. To do that, we're going to click on this functions tab over here. And when I click on it, you'll see that it's blank. I click on it and it gives me the option to make a function. The one it shows is a function called do something. You'll notice something here in how it is written. Specifically, you'll notice that the do is in lowercase, and then the s, the something, what it does, is in uppercase. It starts and then it goes. That's a naming convention. That's called the camel naming convention because it's got that hump there. And it is a very common naming convention. The thing about a convention is you don't have to do it this way, but it's a good idea to follow a format and to stick with it because it's going to be something you'll be using a lot, and it just makes your code look better and more consistent. The other thing that I would advise on your code is it's important for you to write code and write functions that are clear in what they do. So you might be tempted to be clever or funny and call this function Zuzu or haha or whatever you want to call it. But as you write more and more functions, you might forget what did haha do. And it's good to have a function that's descriptive of what it's doing. So we talked about taking that code, and the code was of a face that's smiling and looking forward, and I'm going to turn that into a function called look forward. So I'm going to go in here and type look, L-O-O-K, lowercase, and forward, O-R, forward. Okay. And then I hit done. And that's my function. You'll see my function's black. Now I'm going to take this whole block of code that I had written before, drag it over, and drop it into my function look forward. So now this function look forward, every time I want to use look forward, it's going to use that code. So now instead of this forever loop having that big block of code, I can take that forever loop, and if I go back to functions, I can bring up that function, I can call it and say call look forward. So the code is still functioning exactly as it did before. I've added a function, but it's still like right now, because I took this function look forward and I dropped it right back into the forever loop, I have not changed how my code works. But I have made it easier to use this look forward function if I want to. So what else can I do? Let's say I want to have animate the monster looking right and left and use that and create functions for look right and look left and use those in my code. Let's take a look at the worksheet, and then let's take a look at how we would take that to our code. Go down here. Okay, so if I go back to the worksheet, remember this was what we had for look forward. All right, so I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to have it look to this side. So it's looking left as it's looking at me, but it's actually, this is looking, looking right as it's looking at me, but it's looking left really. So I'm going to, if I change the eyes here, and then maybe I just draw a circle around where I want it to be white. So now I've taken the eyes and I've had them look in one direction. Then I'll take a red marker and fill in this. I'm going to say, you know what? I want the eyes, I want the nose to move slightly to where the eyes are looking. And then I want the mouth to also move in that direction. So I want to do that. And then let's have it look the other way. I'll put that over here. I'm going to do here and here. I'm going to circle these because these are going to be white. Oops, that's nothing. There and there. And now I'm going to have it looking in this direction. Okay, so I've drawn my monster looking right and left, and I'm going to use this template to help with my code. And I'm going to use it also. So this is, I'm going to name these. So this is, it's looking left here, but it's really look right. I'm going to write that down, look right. And over here, I'm going to write look left. And I'm going to flip this around, and there I have how I'm going to code it. So I'm going to say 0 and 1 are white, 2 is blue, and then 5 and 6 are white, and then 7 is blue, and then this is how I'm going to draw the face. Okay, let's go to the code window and see how we can do that. All right, we just said we've got this look forward code. Now let's create a look right code. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to duplicate it, drag this over here, and now this duplicated, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this one look right. And let's take a look at my template. My template says 0 and 1 are white, so I'm going to change that to white. And 2 is blue. That's blue. And then it says 5 and 6 are white. And 7 is blue. And I go over here and I look at how I drew my face. I changed it over here and I'd moved the nose over slightly to the side. Okay, so now it's looking one way. So now I'm going to duplicate this again. This one's going to be look left. Okay, so now I've got a look right, a look left. I have to update the code in look left. I look at my other template. Okay, now I want 0 is going to be blue. So I go there, 0 is blue. And then 1 and 2 are white. 1 and 2 are white. And then 5 is blue. And then 6 and 7 are white. Then I go down here to my face. I've drawn it in the other direction, so I'm going to click here. And now I've got it looking one way or another. So now, instead of typing this whole block of code every time I want it to look right or left, I can call that in here. So I can take the function, call look right. Let's throw in a pause in there. So it's going to look right. Wait half a second. Look left. I look forward. Let's wait half a second. And then let's add another, and then look left. And wait another half a second. And let's see what happens in our code when we do that. Let's go to basic again. Put that pause in here. Now I've got it looking right, forward, left, and then right quickly, because it's going to just keep doing that over and over again. And you can see the LEDs are showing here up top of how that's working. You can see the mouth is moving right and left. And let's see if the NeoPixels do the same as well. So let's download this program to our board. I'm going to plug it in and download it. Okay. And let's take a look. Change the screen here. Okay. Hard to see, so let's take a look. Okay. You can kind of see that as the eyes and the face are moving back and forth. So now you can see how we've taken our functions, we've used functions, which are blocks of code that perform a specific task, and we've used them to animate our monster. And you can see how now that we have this, I can write code so that maybe when it hears something, it can look around. Or when some other input is happening, it can look. But you can see how using functions has made it easier for us to animate and make our monster look and do different things. I encourage everybody to keep trying and explore what other faces and functions you might want to build for your monster, because next we're going to explore the inputs and outputs using as an input the sound sensor, and as an output we're going to use a motor. And this will give us more of an opportunity to explore using motors with our microbit and Brickbit, but also some of the other inputs capabilities of the Brickbit. All right, we'll see you next time.